Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call this meeting to order. I'd like to call this meeting to order this evening. This is the Monday, August 15th, 2022 council meeting. If everyone would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to turn the meeting over to Michelle Nance. You first. Charlie Funderburk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Tonight's first public hearing will be on the FY 2022-2023 budgets. Tim, if you could put my screen up. There we go. Before we get into the actual budgets, I would just want to demonstrate our budget book that is online, viewable by the public. After tonight's meeting, we'll have the 2022-2023 up on this as well. But if the general public would go to our website and go to the finance page, which is under government, and click on finance, you'll see this page. At this point, just click on the transparency site link here. It will take you to this page. There's a lot of information here, but the link you're looking for is right here at the top, called budget document. And when you click on that, it gives you our budget. Now with that, probably the part that most folks will want to see are either under the fund summaries or under the departments. So you could go to a department. I'll choose Public Works. And under there, tells you all about our Public Works department, has org chart, their expenditure summaries, expense by type, whether it's O&M or personnel. And then you get into the line items down here that will give you historical plus current. So these numbers will be updated tomorrow morning with the current budget. So just want to let folks know that is out there. It's a tool that's always on our website where they can go look at it. The current budget year is up there now. You can also view what our debt, what the city's debt is, either debt by type or the government-wide debt. You know, you look on debt by type, it lists all of our bonds, our capital leases, and then gets into more details on each one. So just wanted to start things just by showing folks that is an option before we get into tonight's slideshow on the upcoming budget. So Tim, if you will please kick me over to that. Bear with us 1 second, council. Tim, get that up on the screen for us, and we'll be ready to go. All right. Let's see. There we go. Almost there. Bear with me, and I apologize, council. Let's see. All right. There we go. So, Mr. Mayor, members of council, I'm pleased to present the annual budgets for the year ending September 30th, 2023 to the citizens of TKK, members of City Council, and city staff. A great deal of review by our executive leadership has been devoted to this budget. The focus of the 2023 annual budget is to continue providing a high level of service for all of our citizens, visitors, and business owners, and continue following Council's direction of decreasing debt, enhancing public safety, investing in our employees, and providing for a high quality of life in our city. The major functions include public safety, parks and recreation, public works, water and sewer, sanitation, and development services. Each of these areas and across all funds, the proposed budget for the fiscal year supports Council's strategic goals of investing and reinvesting in city staff, services, customers, facilities, and infrastructure, enhancing customer relationships, promoting a small town feel. Our goal is to maintain the city's quality and level of service, provide amenities and opportunities for citizens of all ages, and preserve our financial position while minimizing the increased financial burden on our citizens. The budget for all funds is $21.84 million, an increase of 6.5% from the 2022 fiscal year, the current year. Budget highlights. It's a balanced budget with no property tax increase. Revenue estimates are based on year-to-date data from 9 months of the current fiscal year, trend analysis from prior year, data supplied by York County regarding assessments, and projections from current builders and developers. Projected net revenues for the general fund show an increase of 6.8% from the prior fiscal year. Fund balance for governmental funds for year-end 2021 is $15,952,750. Property and personal property, boats, auto, etc. Tax revenues remain modest this year based on information we got from the county. Building inspection permit revenue have far exceeded our expectations and projections. As of August 1st, 2022, we've issued 217 new home permits compared to 196 at the same time last year. If this pace continues over the next 3 to 4 years, the city will most likely reach build out several years ahead of schedule. After receiving the first two payments the first payment, second payment should be next month of the ARP funds from the state. We have begun making necessary improvements at the wastewater treatment plants without obtaining any additional debt on doing those. So those projects are underway, and we've got more out for bid currently. Catawba Park will be open hopefully within the next 5 to 6 weeks, and we're excited about that. We anticipate many successful events and sports activities taking place throughout the year down there. New items included in the general fund include continued human resource training and development programs for our staff, salary adjustments for staff in accordance with the 2022 compensation and classification study as directed by City Council, 3 new park maintenance personnel necessary due to bringing on the Catawba Park, and 4 new patrol vehicles which will be replacing the existing vehicles as discussed during the budget workshop. The budgets presented within and will be presented tonight focus on council's strategic plan of keeping a small town feel, communication and access to city leadership, and most importantly, investing and reinvesting dollars back into our staff, public safety, facilities, and infrastructure. Each of these goals ensure TKK continues to be an amazing place that has attracted so many people to call it home. Staff is pleased to present and implement the budgets necessary to achieve these goals, and I would like to thank council and staff for their efforts in formulating what is sure to be an amazing fiscal year for us in our city's history. And with that, I'll dive right into the budgets. Across all funds, again, as I stated previously, you're looking at $21.84 million. And the figures and the graphs and stuff that you'll see tonight on the slideshow are all things that are available on the transparency site that I just demonstrated to you. And that should be live hopefully tomorrow, if not at the latest by Wednesday. On your revenue for all funds, your general fund is at $14,082,018. That's an increase of 7.7%. Your beach and swim center proposed budget revenues of $195,447. That's a 19.6% increase over the current year. TKK Utility Department, TCUD, estimated revenues at $6,360,965. That's a 3.4% increase over the current fiscal year. Your stormwater fund at $619,000. That's a 3.7% increase over current fiscal year. Events and tourism fund is at $196,500, which is a 14.6% increase over current fiscal year. And your hospitality tax fund is estimated at $385,000. Or an 11.6% increase over current fiscal year. And again, across all funds, it's $21,838,930, or a 6.5% increase over current fiscal year. This is just a summary of personnel, O&M, and debt across each fund. And general fund, which houses the majority of our departments, is at 59% on the personnel side, 28% on the O&M, and 13% on the debt. Your beach and swim center is at 7% on the personnel, 93% on your O&M, and it is carrying 0 debt at this time. TCUD is at 26% on its personnel, 54% on O&M, 20% on its debt, as far as the percentage of budget. Your stormwater fund is at 57% of 57% of the budget for personnel, 34% of budget on O&M, and 10% of debt as far as percentage to budget. Your events and tourism is at 42% on personnel, 58% on O&M, and is carrying no debt. HTAX is 0% on personnel, 94% on O&M, and 6% on debt. This is a look at your revenue categories for general fund. Obviously, our property taxes and personal property make up the lion's share of our general fund revenues. Those are projected at $7,290,727. That's a 6.8% increase. And again, as I said in my opening statements, there is no millage increase. So this is based purely off of growth. License fines and fees, that's where your building permits, your business license, and any of our fees collected, development fees, and fines levied at $5,603,732, or 2.6% increase off of current year. Our state shared revenue, the state is finally funding it almost at the levels they're supposed to per state law. So that's why you see a big jump there. So we're anticipating, at least by records from the state, of $300,731. That's a 54.8% jump in revenue there. On recreation, that's $774,010. That does include the agreement that council entered into with Independence, as well as all of our rec revenue, rental revenues, tournament revenues, and the like. And then your other miscellaneous revenues at $112,818. And that's actually a slight drop of about 8.7%. But really, that small drop in the revenues there is not concerning at all. So again, your general fund revenues total at $14,082,018. That is a 7.7% increase in revenues for the coming fiscal year. Here's your expenditures broken out by department, starting with municipal council with an expense of $80,163. Municipal court at $300,838. Admin expense at $850,998. Development services at $476,435. Public works at $926,759. Police at $3,566,534. Your fire expense at $2,561,499. Parks and Recreation at $1,306,584. And there are non-departmental expenses where where all your bond debt is related to general fund is in there, along with expenses on the trash and recycle collection are your biggest items in there. And that comes in at $3,353,240. Giving you expenses of $13,423,050, which leaves you a net surplus, projected surplus of around $600,000 based on where we are envisioning today. Just to give you a slight breakdown, percentage-wise, as we discussed during our budget workshop a few weeks ago, your public safety is, and this is typical with all cities that offer these full-time services, are going to make up the lion's share of your expenses. Our non-departmental expense, if you'll recall, 13% of the general fund is related to debt. So that's why you see that in your trash recycle fees and whatnot, is why you see non-departmental expenses up there. Parks and Recreation at 9.7% of the total budget. Public Works at 6.9%. Admin at 6.3%. Development Services at 3.5%. And Municipal Court at 2.2%. With council rounding it in just shy of 1% at 0.6%. Council, as discussed during our budget workshop, with there being so many uncertainties still out there in the marketplace, in the building community with fuel and things like that are going on, this budget does not include any capital request at this time. And staff continues to recommend that we revisit that in the March-April timeframe, where we can have a better picture of where we're standing financially for the coming fiscal year. Mayor, I don't believe anyone signed up for public comments on this public hearing, but I'll take any questions that council may have at this time before I move into the next fund. Any? No?
All I have is municipal council expense that went up, whatever percentage it was. It was not because this council is getting a pay raise.
That is correct.
Okay, just to clarify.
That is correct. On your beach and swim center, again, here's just a copy of your, or a graph of your revenue summaries, but we're projecting that at $195,447. That's a $32,045 increase, or 19.6% versus current year. And again, these are graphs that'll be available for the public to be able to see on our website here in the next day or so. Your beach and swim center expenditures, $178,511. That's a $15,000 increase. Still leaving a nice little surplus in there as an operational contingency of a little less than $20,000. The planned projects at the beach and swim center, assuming this budget is adopted, is to finish repainting the exterior of the facility. We did the pool side this past year. Would like to, soon after the start of the fiscal year, get the outside painted. And it also includes putting down a rubberized decking surface on the pool deck, which we're really excited about and think the members will be too. So those are the two projects down there. Again, Beach and Swim Center continues to be a non-tax supported entity. It is fully ran off of our membership, guest fees, concession fees, revenue that comes into the facility used to operate that facility. So it continues to stay tax neutral, and this has been a phenomenal year. 2 fiscal years, I think Mr. Richard and Mr. Machunas can attest that we were concerned that this thing was about to be on life support, but it has rebounded nicely from COVID, and very excited over this fiscal year and what's to come next year. With that, I'll entertain any questions on the Beach and Swim Center Fund, if there are any. Okay, moving right along. For our TCUT, or our utility department, we've got estimated revenues of $6,360,965. That's a $209,910 increase in revenues. TCUT has finally gotten itself into a good cash position as far as being able to be self-sustaining. There were early years where it wasn't. So we're very, very pleased with how this budget has been performing over the last couple of years. They're able to cash fund things and try to not take on additional debts. There is a slight fee increase on the water and sewer rates, and those are strictly pass-through increases. So City of Rock Hill notified Town of Fort Mill and us that their water and sewer rates were going to be increasing to increase capacity at those 2 plants in Rock Hill because of the capacity needs placed on them by us, the county, Fort Mill, et cetera. So they're passing through that. The good thing is they can't increase our rates without increasing their own rates to their own residential customers. So the rates that we get plus a transmission fee that we pay to Fort Mill, which is about 30 cents per 1,000 gallons that comes through, they're charging us the same rate that they're charging their own local residents. So, and we increase that fee from there in order to pay down the debt and to operate the facility and maintain the system. So, again, your revenues are at $6,360,965. Your projected revenues coming in at $5,951,542. There is plans to in the budget to cash fund a replacement vehicle with a new truck with work bed and be able to cash fund that versus taking on any kind of debt on it. You still got a you still got a surplus balance of you're right at about $250,000 $300,000, which may sound like a lot, but when you have a sewer line that breaks under a road, that can disappear very, very quickly. So, and we're still working to continue to build up cash fund reserves on that, on the utility fund, so that we can continue to operate in a pay-as-you-go type method versus taking on more debt. Any questions on the TCUD fund? All right. Moving right along to stormwater, projecting those revenues at $619,000. It's about a $22,000 increase over the coming fiscal year. For those that are new to us and not familiar with how that stormwater works, each resident is charged $108 for the year. That's on the tax bills when York County delivers those. And that is based on one equivalent residential unit, which when we started this department, that came out to 3,500 square feet of impervious surface per residential lot on average. For commercial customers pay per ERU. So residential only pays one ERU, which is $108. Commercial pays for every 3,500 square feet of impervious surface that it has. So you could see multiple ERUs, and each ERU is times the 108. So that's how those revenues are determined. We get the tax roll from the county, showing us the number of ERUs on the residential side, and obviously we've already pre-calculated on the commercial side as to what those will be. So, and again, this budget we balance out at $619,000 with the attempt of what comes in goes out to repair, maintain our stormwater infrastructure system. From a salary standpoint, our stormwater staff is also our public works staff. So you've got 30% of their salaries in here, 70% on the public works side. But it's the same crew. We don't have a separate stormwater department. It also includes a portion of Shane Paris, our stormwater manager, includes a percentage of his salary as well in there. Any questions on stormwater? All right, almost done. Events and tourism, that's $196,500. That's an increase of $25,000. The revenues that make this up are primarily a transfer from your HTAX funds, as well as vendor fees and registration fees for different events that we charge. And then we bring in enough of the HTAX money to balance that out. This on your expense side, again, you're at $196,500. Your expenses are your concerts, your 4th of July Fall Festival, our holiday tree lighting stuff, festival that we do. And new this year, we're going to add a movie night. Right now, we've budgeted for one. Let's see how that goes. Kind of limited on the time of year when you can do that and still get families out for it and be able to see the screen when the sun's not up. So we're going to try one this year to see how that goes, and then look for additional opportunities as we move forward. But a lot of great activities planned for next year. Katie and the team's already started working on those. So any questions on events and tourism? All right. Last one, hospitality tax. We are budgeting that at cautiously at $385,000. Very well could come in more than that based on where things are trending right now. Our HTAX is performing very, very well, with expenditures at $369,117. So you've got a small reserve or net positive position that will carry over to the will carry over and just stay in that account as we go from one fiscal year to the next. But the debt that I mentioned previously on HTAX is for the lights at Rundy Park. The final payment on that is in year 2025, is when those will be paid on fiscal year 2025. And that is all of your budgets. Any questions? I mean, happy to try to answer. Mayor, that concludes the budget presentation and public hearing. I will turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Charlie. Next item we have is item 1B, consideration of a conditional use permit for a bed and breakfast for 16156 Tanner T. Would like to welcome our planning commission this evening. And Michelle, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor Gray. And I'd like to call the special meeting of the Planning Commission open this evening. And we already have the public hearing open for 1B. It's for a conditional use permit for a building, bed and breakfast located at 16156 Tanya T. Circle. We have several people signed up to speak on this item. Just a reminder, when you do approach the podium, if you would state your name and an address for the record. Also, I'll remind folks that you have 3 minutes to give your presentation, and the public hearing is council's opportunity to hear your comments and a chance for everyone to speak until the hearing's closed. But first, we'll have Susan to give the staff presentation.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. The applicant's requesting a conditional use permit to utilize the lower level of their single-family home as a bed and breakfast. The Planning Commission has reviewed the application at your meeting on August 1st. B&Bs are permitted by conditional use within residential districts, but before consideration by City Council, a public hearing must be conducted and the Planning Commission must make a recommendation. The applicant is the current property owner. The property is zoned R10. The property under consideration has been reviewed and inspected by staff and appear to not meet the minimum conditions and requirements as outlined in the zoning code. Therefore, staff recommendation is for denial.
All right, we'll call our first person up, Jeff Carpenter.
My name is Jeff Carpenter. I live at 16155 Tana T Drive. I'm actually the neighbor of the person that's applying. Oh. Can you hear me now? All right, there we go. Hey, I'm Jeff Carpenter. I live at 16155 Tana T Drive, actually Circle. I am the neighbor of the person applying for this permit. I've known the neighbors for 2 years. They've been in really good standings with me, and I would be in favor of this. Sorry, I'd be in favor of this. All right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Kyle Schultz.
Hello, I'm Kyle Schultz. I am the applicant, and I live at 16156 Tana T Circle. And I'm aware that the property does not meet every requirement of the zoning ordinance. We fell short on the square footage requirements because of an unpermitted addition to the property before we bought the home. And we also have street-facing parking, which is the other requirement that we fell short on, which we feel that it's nearly impossible to achieve the rear parking in our lot, along with many lots in this area. And I just wanted to read something for consideration. So my wife and here moved here from Charlotte in 2020 to have more space for our family. We love the people here. We like the character of the quirky homes. We like the mature trees and natural beauty. We have 2 spare bedrooms in our basement we like to put to good use. And when we moved here, we actually advertised our basement on Airbnb, unknowing that it was a violation of the zoning ordinance. Well, we got a violation letter from the Planning Commission, and after that, we shut it down. After this, the Planning Department actually recommended that we pursue the bed and breakfast option, which we did. That's why I'm here today. And in our time as host, we actually learned that we think that our basement was a benefit to the city. Nearly 100% of our guests were coming to visit family, looking to relocate to the area, or temporarily staying while their home was being renovated, or working temporarily in the area. But the vast majority were actually here to visit friends or family who live in the historic end. And we wanted to be clear that we're not investors looking for a deal. We're just homeowners and parents with the pride of ownership. We take good care of our home, and we want our guests to feel that they're staying in a nice place. We believe that our pride of ownership, coupled with the guests visiting to relocate, will only help the value of the surrounding homes and not hurt it. We're not interested in weekend lake parties or being a nuisance to our neighbors. We want to have house rules that are going to attract guests that won't be a nuisance to us or our neighbors. And we plan to be selective and only host guests that can meet our requirements. And we believe we're providing a unique opportunity with this bed and breakfast to strengthen the family feel and community character of TUK. We appreciate your consideration.
Thank you. Are there any comments from council at this time?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right, we will close the public comments on that item and the public hearing on that item as well. We will be recessing to a special meeting soon to deliberate on that issue. The third public hearing is item 1C, proposed amendment to the zoning code to add Article 10, Section 19170, accessory dwelling units, and amendment to other sections of the code as applicable. We have the same rules as we did before. I do not have anyone signed up to speak on this proposed text amendment, but would introduce Susan to provide the staff report.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. The Planning Commission actually began working in 2021 on this potential amendment to the zoning code to allow accessory dwelling units to be permitted in single-family residential districts. Accessory dwelling units are independent housing units within single-family homes or on their lots. The primary intent of the ordinance is to provide a means for adult children to give care and support to a parent, or for parents to provide support to adult children in an independent living arrangement. So after approximately 6 months of research, due diligence, the Commission has presented this amendment for our consideration by for the public hearing. Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on this item? Okay, I'll declare the public hearing closed on that item. Are there any comments from council before we recess?
Excuse me, I'm just curious. I know we've been working on this for a while, and I think the intent for anybody out there who's breathlessly anticipating what we're going to discuss now was somebody wanted to put a range, stove, whatever we can call it, in their basement. And, you know, there's plenty of homes in TK that have a kitchen upstairs and a kitchen downstairs. I think the fact that you put a range down there turns it into an accessory dwelling unit, even if it's not necessarily going to be an accessory dwelling unit. But in all this debate, and I know you're trying to close loopholes and you know, maintain the other ordinances that we have, where did the 1,000 square foot restriction come from? I don't quite understand that. Even though it has been explained to me once, I still don't understand it, which is not unusual. I change oil for a living.
Thank you. The Planning Commission had quite a bit of discussion at their August 1st meeting, because the initial proposal had 850 square feet, which was based on really an industry standard that other jurisdictions have limitations on, and also when you look at size of lots. And those types of things. After much discussion with the Planning Commission, we agreed that 1,000 square foot would be applicable as a base. To understand first, the minimum square footage for a single-family house in TK is 1,500 square feet. The 1,000 square feet still keeps it under the footage for a whole separate home. So remember, this is an accessory, it's not another living unit. So also, in older sections of the city, well actually all throughout the city, but it's primarily in the older sections, you have an impervious lot coverage requirement. So in the tighter lots, if you can only cover 40% of the lot with your primary dwelling and any accessory structures, then you have to keep 60% of it open. So when you're looking at a 7,500 square foot lot, which is what you have typically in the older sections, even though they're zoned R10 for some reason, which is a 10,000 square foot lot, to keep that 40%, you got to reduce that to 1,000 feet if it's a detached structure. So in addition to those other considerations, there was discussion regarding building code requirements. Even though this is a zoning code amendment, you want to make sure that people understand that once they exceed a certain square footage, certain building codes for fire separation may kick in. So that was something to consider when we did this. Remember, this is an independent living. It's not another dwelling. So it will not be multifamily or two dwellings on one lot. So if it were two apartments, you could have 1,250 square feet and 1,250 square feet. But since it is a single-family dwelling with a minimum of 1,500 square feet, then the accessory could be 1,000. Now, a lot of the debate that the Planning Commission went through was, well, what if you got a 2,000 square foot basement? Can we not use our whole basement? Well, the thing that we talked about is, well, you know, on your site plan, you're going to designate the area that's to be used for the ADU. Yeah, other square areas within that basement could be simply labeled as storage, or if that's what it's to be used for, or something that isn't related directly to the accessory itself. Now, one thing that council may want to consider, and that's just, as I said, this was the recommendation coming from council, from Planning Commission, but if you want to differentiate between a detached unit and an attached unit as it comes to square footage, you can do that. We did not in this ordinance. We just have it as an accessory dwelling unit that can be in the principal structure, as part of the principal structure, or it can be a detached building. If you want to, as I said, call it out and limit the square footage only on a detached with no limitation on what's within the principal structure, knowing that, you know, there may be fire code requirements, that's your prerogative. So I'll be glad to answer any other questions.
Okay, with that, we will close public comments. Charlie?
If I can, real quick. So council, based on what Susan just said, that especially pertaining to that last part, okay? If you want to differentiate and you're still considering doing first read tonight, you'll need to make that as part of your motion, or we'll have to defer first read until next month.
Right. After they make their recommendation to us.
Yes, sir. Once you get to that part of the agenda, so.
Stay tuned.
All right. Okay.
And that's detached or attached is what you're
If you want to
referencing.
differentiate and use the detached 1,000 square footage that Planning Commission, as Susan said, they didn't differentiate. But if you wanted to do a different square footage, if it's part of the principal or primary dwelling unit, or no square footage limitation at all on the primary, obviously, that verbiage isn't in there, and we'll assist you with crafting that motion if that's the way you want to go later this evening, or you obviously can take it exactly the way it is. So, all right, that was all I wanted to comment on. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, the public hearing for that item is now closed, and the Planning Commission will take a short recess to vote on this item.
Thank you, Planning Commission. Thank you, Michelle. Okay. Okay, moving on. Item number 2 is a special presentation. I don't have the brain power you guys do. I'm sorry. Apologize. This is a resolution naming the TEK Walking Trail. Dang, come on, man. This thing is like all squirrely. Okay, I got it. Whereas the City Council of the City of TGK wish to promote an active and healthy lifestyle among the residents of TGK by providing a multitude of recreational facilities. And whereas the City of TGK is known as the recreational community of Lake Wylie, as we feature 132 acres of park space, a golf course, and 5 miles of walking trails, and whereas Steve Hamilton served the city faithfully as mayor pro tempore from 1990 to 1994, then as mayor from 1994 to 2002, while the trail was being constructed. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of TGK that the TGK Drive Walking Trail be named Mayor Stephen M. Hamilton Walking Trail to commemorate Stephen Hamilton's dedication, enthusiasm, and outstanding public service to the state of South Carolina and the City of TGK.
There we go.
It's get weird.
Let me start off by thanking council, mayor, and council. This is a thrilling moment for me. Very honored to have this this trail named after me. It's funny, when the mayor called me about a week or two ago, we were down in Hilton Head, and this was a picture of my wife 30 years ago on that trail in Hilton Head. And I was mayor pro tem at the time, and we took a picture, and I said, you know, someday, hon, we're gonna make this happen at the city here. So we were thrilled we got the opportunity to do that. Again, I did want to mention that my wife is here. She's always been a backbone for me. When we had the council meetings at the old council with the old 7-Eleven down by the marina, that's where our council chamber was at the time. She would be there in the back, and she would, if I was pontificating too much, she'd give me the signal and say, I'd say, all right, let's wrap it up. You know? So, my daughter, she was the mayor's daughter, so she didn't get away with much while she was in high school. So I think your kids can relate to that. My son, who was in grade school at the time, he always had to go to the council meetings. He would sit back in the kitchen and do his homework there. I'm sorry about that, Miles. For years, this photo has sat on my desk, and with the help of the RFATS funding and Jeannie Varner, who was the city administrator at the time, we turned that dream into a reality. And we use that trail as a model for other trails as we build out the 500-acre lakeshore development. I see my wife's giving me the signal, so I'm going to go ahead and quit. Again, thank you, council. I really do appreciate it. Thanks. Excuse us, we've got to go.
Okay, next on the agenda is the presentation of the July 4th awards. Katie B. That's right.
Hello, Council. I always bring the fun news. So today I am announcing our 2022 4th of July Land Parade winners. I'm going to start off with our golf cart entries. Some of our families are able to be here tonight. Some of them will be claiming their prizes in City Hall. But I'm going to start with our third place prize winner for the 2022 golf cart entries was the Glenn family. So if the Glenn family is here, they can come up and claim their prize. Hello. And the third place prize was a $100 gift certificate to Carolina Golf Cars. Thank you to our sponsor, Carolina Golf Cars, for donating the prizes for the golf cart entries. Our second place winner is the Winburn family. If anyone from the Winburn family is here, they can come claim their prize. And the second place winner of the golf cart entries won a $200 gift certificate to Carolina Golf Cars as well. And then our first place winner, who unfortunately wasn't able to be here tonight, was the Menendez family. And they won a $350 gift certificate to Carolina Golf Cars as well. So some encouragement to join for next year. And then our 2022 float winners for this year were unable to attend, but our runner-up was Brown Sound. That's our DJ Tim Brown at all of our summer concerts. So probably see him with the Bubble Machine at all of our city events. He was also with the Bubble Machine during the parade. And then our first place winner is a big community supporter here, Gamble Patterson Group Realtors. So our second place winner, Brown Sound, is going home with a gift certificate to Noosa Pest Services and Abbott's, as well as a complimentary park rental at Windjammer Park. And then our first place winner of the float entries is going home with a full service vehicle detail from Honda Cars Rock Hill, one of our sponsors here in the city of TKK. 52 complimentary meals to McDonald's, also a sponsor here in TKK, and a complimentary park rental at the Beach Club. So those are our Land Parade winners for this year. And then just wanted to give an honorable mention to our 2022 Boat Parade winners. We did have our Boat Parade this year as well. In third place was the Parham family. Second place was the Parker family. And first place was the Holmes family. So that is it. Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have public comments, item 3. If you would, please state your name and your address when you come up to speak. Calling on Timothy Redding.
Poor guy has no friends. I don't think it is. So let me start by thanking the city for the, Timothy Reading, 7100 Anchorage Lane. Let me start by thanking the city for the original investment that was made in the current pickleball courts. And as we told you back then when we were up here, if you build it, they will come. And oh boy, in the past 2 years, since the dedicated courts were built, pickleball has absolutely exploded. Twice a day, every day, the courts are completely filled. You see families and groups of teenagers, friends, all sorts playing together. It's truly a multi-generational activity that can be enjoyed by everyone and is being enjoyed by everyone. So thank you very much for that. One of the big draws for pickleball is it's very easy to learn and to pick up the game. That's why you see so many people playing now and so many more wanting to learn the game. We just need courts to play on. And that's what we're asking for consideration for converting the 2 lower tennis courts to an additional 6 pickleball courts. Of course, the question is for the city, is it worth it? Strictly from a participation perspective, in terms of who is using that current space, on the 2 tennis courts, if there's anyone out there right now, it's typically 4 players, 2 on each court. On the same amount of space, with 6 courts, you can have 24 people playing pickleball. And with the nature of the pickleball being shorter games and more people rotating in and out, often there are more than 24 people on 6 courts. So participation on that amount of space, that footprint, would be far, far greater with pickleball. It cannot be emphasized enough that the spirit of pickleball, and truly one of the biggest appeals of the game, is the social aspect. It's not just 2 people on a tennis court, it's large groups of people. It's a community. You can make the argument it's the perfect sport for a recreational community. It's people hanging out, they're bringing coolers, plates of food, there's music playing, there's lots of laughing, kids running around, everyone's having fun. It's bringing everyone together. And yes, it brings everyone together, so there are people who don't live in TEK that come to our courts, just like there are people who don't live in TEK that go to Windjammer, or go to concerts at Rundy, or come to watch our fireworks. But a vast majority of players live here, and those that don't live in TEK, they're here playing with us that do live in TEK. Having said that, part of this city strategy or strategic planning is promoting the city. With 12 dedicated courts, not only will we have enough courts for all of us to be able to play, but if need be, we could have the opportunity to generate revenue. We would have the ability to host tournaments, leagues, and clinics and such. So just as an example, for a typical league has 20 people in it at a time, and it costs about $50 per person. It usually goes about 8 weeks. So that's $1,000 for a league. And that's just one gender, and that's just one level. So you could have a women's intermediate, a women's advanced, a men's intermediate, men's advanced. You have 4 leagues going on, that's $4,000. All right, you can run 3 of those in a year, that's $12,000 generated just by having the courts available. But return on investment, it can't always and it shouldn't always be measured in dollars of revenue generated. Rather, does it promote the city and make it a more desirable place to live? TEK has a chance to be the leader in the pickleball movement with an opportunity to build something no other community in this area has. That's 12 dedicated pickleball courts. People from other areas already talk about TEK and our pickleball, and an improved pickleball experience can be a great way for getting more people into the city, for going up to dinners or breakfast afterwards, going up to the club for drinks when they're done playing. It's a good way to draw people in who are looking for a recreational community. So it's just one more great experience that TEK can offer to what we already have going for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Tim. Just so you folks can go ahead and exit if you feel like we're having too much fun here. I'd like to say thank you for inviting us to the Saturday get together. It was awesome. It was great seeing everybody. Fantastic time had by all. I got winged by a couple of balls a couple of times, so you know, it's a dangerous sport. Make sure you wear eye protection, please. But I would like to reiterate. We spoke Saturday. I think that we've got a good thing going. We need to get you guys to incorporate for us. Association would be the first step. And you know, would love to take it from there. We can dream as big as you want to dream, but we're going to have everybody buying into it. So just you guys, if you guys could get together and form an association, let us know when you guys have that done, and love to sit down and talk with you and get all the input that we need to get to facilitate what we need to do. And we appreciate everybody coming out tonight, showing your support. Love the camaraderie and everything that was there on Saturday. You could feel it. It's a family affair. And a lot of love and a lot of character and everything in that area. So just appreciate you guys welcoming us down there and having a good time with us. So appreciate it. Thanks, Tim. Appreciate your input. Does anybody else have any comments, questions? No, sir. No? Okay. We have another public comment. Megan Nelson, if you would, please. Megan, if you please state your address and name, please.
Yeah. Well, everybody's a little taller than me. I'm Megan Nelson. I live at 1939 Newberry Lane. And I am here actually on behalf of the Carolina Show Ski Team. I'm the secretary for the board. And I'm just here today to thank the city of TEK for the ongoing support. I hope everyone was able to attend one of our 10 shows that we did this summer. We are thrilled to be part of celebrating the city's 40th birthday, which was the center of our theme. So, in addition to the 10 shows performed at Windjammer, we took the show to Florida, competing in the Southern Region Tournament as the only team outside of the state of Florida. So, thrilled to be able take that down there, also sharing and highlighting the city of TKK. And while we were down there, it was broadcast throughout the world. So we really celebrated the 40th birthday in a big way. The team held Learn to Ski sessions throughout the summer, sharing our sport with the community. We had over 60 participants join us throughout the summer, learning how to water ski. So thrilled to be able to share that here in our lake community. Again, I just want to say thank you to the city, thank you to the police department, and thank you to our neighbors for supporting us throughout all of the years and throughout this season. And so I just would like to present to the city the commemorative design that we created this past year.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
In celebration of the city's 40th birthday, and just as a token of our appreciation for all the support.
It's, if I may, it's Megan, right?
Yes.
Hey, I just wanted to say thank you because what you founded and what that ski team represents at TKK brings a tremendous amount of enjoyment to our residents and the folks that surround TKK. It's such a nice thing when my family comes to town. It's a very special thing for us to come out and watch the ski show. So thank you for what you provide for the city.
Thank you guys for supporting us.
Moving on, item 4, approval of minutes. Anybody have any questions, comments, deletions, additions? Okay. Well, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the minutes.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Okay. All right. Item 5, committee reports. We have the first up is Economic Development Commission. Councilman Machunas, please take it away.
All right, the EDC met on the 25th. All members were present and accounted for. The majority of the time, the discussion was of 4-star and the 10-acre site that they have an option to purchase, which is right next to what we're now calling Main Street, sometimes called Game Off. But anyway, we talked about the company, what kind of company they are, what they do, and their initial set of plans for their initial proposal for that property. Also looked at some modifications that have been made to the Main Street project, the layout of it, which continues to evolve as they keep looking at topo and dirt and all those fun things. And wrapped it up with a discussion of the Donnie Shell Golf Tournament. The tournament is going to be on the 22nd. The city's happy that they've chosen us to come back. He said that the best tournament they ever had was the one they had here last year, and that was still when we were messing around with COVID. The EDC was going to ask for a little bit, another marketing push from the city, and I have seen things that the city has pushed out to try and get more people, more teams, and there were some whole sponsorships still available for that tournament. And once again, it's going to be on the 22nd, which, Leroy, it's a Friday, right? Yeah, tournament's on a Friday in September, so about a month from now. And that was it.
Thank you, Councilman Machunas. Next up, we have the Planning Commission. Susan, if you would please You got it?
Planning Commission met on August 1st, and there was a quorum. And the main topics that were discussed by Planning Commission were the accessory dwelling units, Gus, and they made significant progress on that. And just want to make a side note. Special thanks to staff, because I know how hard they've worked on this accessory dwelling unit with Planning Commission in partnership with them. And I got a very strong sense of how difficult it was to try and come up with the right language for that accessory dwelling unit ordinance that doesn't compete with other ordinances or other building codes. So there was quite a challenge, and I know a lot of time and painstaking detail went through that to present to council tonight from Planning Commission. They also discussed the bed and breakfast, Kyle's location, and I can tell you that there was a significant amount of time they spent on that as well. They had no prejudice one way or the other, but they just wanted to get it right. And appreciate the time and effort that went into that with Planning Commission. We also welcomed our newest member to the Planning Commission in that meeting as well, and she was sworn in by Mayor Gray. Did I miss anything, ladies? Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Shirley. Next up, we have the TK Forever Foundation. Mayor Pro Tem Heisler, please, sir.
Thank
if
you,
you
sir.
would.
TK Forever met on August 8th. We had a quorum. Myself and Councilman Shirley were also in attendance. As you've seen, the announcement, I'm sure, for Catawba Fest is out October 29th. Vendors can register on the TK website. We're also looking for volunteers. If anyone's willing to volunteer at Catawba Fest, please reach out to KDB. You can email our events@tkksc.gov. For all of us out there that use Amazon Prime, TK Forever is now on Amazon Smile program. So anything you purchase through the Amazon Smile program, TK Forever will get a small donation. You can go to smile.amazon.com and sign up there and choose TK Forever as your donation organization. We are also, TK Forever is doing the first ever TK Christmas ornament design. We're going to be sending out a survey we're looking for a one-word answer. You can tell us what your favorite thing about the city is, and we're going to incorporate the responses into the design of the Christmas decorations, so watch for that announcement. We're also, TK Forever is also exploring offering TK merchandise, including Catawba Park, Catawba TK Forever, and just TK in general. So it's through Azazel, is the company it's called. It'll be anything you want. No cost to the city, made as you order. And also, bingo. TK Forever is going to be running bingo, so watch for the announcements this fall. Do it here in the Glennon Center. As a charitable organization in the state, they're allowed to do that, so we're hoping to raise some money for TK Forever with bingo. And the next meeting is Monday, September 12th. Thank you.
You guys included that we have a trademarked emblem that we'll have to give a consideration back to the city with all the stuff we purchased. Like if we wanted council shirts that were different colors and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that'll all be on.
Okay.
That'll all be on.
It'll be all available.
The site.
Yep.
And they would give a little charitable donation to the city as well for the trademark, right?
Sure, TK Forever.
To cover all the bases.
The fact that a survey is going to go out for a one-word answer on what TK means to them, I'm anticipating the ornament's going to look like a deer.
As long as it's got a red nose, that's fine.
Will that deer be dead or alive? Just curious.
Depends on whether it's on TK Drive or not.
Yeah, it's oh dear, one word. Oh dear.
Okay.
Just like that.
And moving on. Item 6A, we have an appointment to the York County Natural Gas Board of Directors. At our last regular meeting, Jimmy Sprouse, CEO of York County Natural Gas, presented council with information regarding TK's representative to the Natural Gas Board. City staff posted the position and requested applicants. Council has reviewed the applicants and selected a nominee. The city manager will now present the top nominee for city council's consideration.
Mr. Mayor and Council, your top nominee for this position is Jim Aranya. So if council would like to make a motion to nominate him for consideration to the gas board, that is your top nominee.
Mr. Mayor and Council, I'd like to make a motion to approve Jim Arani as the city's representative to serve on the York County Natural Gas Board of Directors.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Our next item on the agenda is item 7A. Resolution adopting the 2022 compensation and classification study. The city hired the Archer Group this past winter to complete a classification and compensation study. During an executive session on July 13th, the Archer Group presented the findings of the study. As a part of the budget workshop, the city manager was given direction to implement the study in the fiscal year 2023 budget. The resolution before council tonight is to officially adopt the 22 compensation and classification study. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution adopting the 2022 compensation and classification study?
Mr. Mayor and members of council, I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolution adopting the 2022 compensation and classification study.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. With a motion and a second, all in favor say aye. Aye. Nays? Let the record show that.
Nays?
Nays?
Nay.
Nay. Let the record show that Councilman Richard and Councilman Chinas were ayes, and Councilman Shirley, Mayor Pro Tem Heislip, and Mayor Gray were nays. Moving on, item 7B. Introduction and first read of the fiscal year 2022, 2023. Is that a typo? Yes, that's a typo. 2021, 2022 budgets. 22, 23 budgets, sorry. This is the first read of an ordinance necessary to set the budgets for fiscal year 2022, 2023 that were presented by the city manager during the required public hearing. There is no millage increase included in the coming fiscal year, which is the 13th year of our millage rates remaining the same. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor and Council, I'd like to make a motion to approve the introduction and first reading of ordinance for the FY 2022 to 2023 budgets.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Let the record show unanimous on the motion.
Do we need to defer to planning commission for a recommendation?
We can right now if we want to.
I don't know when it's appropriate to do it, that's why I'm asking.
Mr. Funderburk, should we defer now to Planning Commission?
Yes, sir. If they are ready to make the recommendation. Sorry, you'll need to make a motion on C. No, hold on. Mayor, you've got C and D left. C was requested to table that till
Yes.
September.
Yes.
And you can proceed forward with D, and then we'll go to the Planning Commission recommendation.
70 is the recommendation.
Okay.
Sorry, jumped the gun on you.
It's okay. We can go back to D. In that case, 7C, yeah, let's, you want to go ahead and do 7C? Yeah.
Yes.
7C.
So they had a scheduling conflict and asked to be tabled until until your September 12th.
So I have a
meeting.
motion to table that.
I'd like to make a motion that we table item 7C, the consideration of allocating opioid settlement funds to Keystone Substance Abuse Services.
I have a,
To September.
have a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Seven D. Yep, that's right.
Our next item on the agenda is 7D, Lake Ridge Pod H, Maps 3 and 4, formal acceptance of streets and associated infrastructure. The developer of Lake Ridge, AKA Gardendale, has petitioned the city to accept into the city's ownerships for maintenance all the right-of-way and associated infrastructure of the remainder of streets and associated infrastructures as shown by record maps titled Final Plat Phase 2, Pod H, Maps 3 and 4. The city street and infrastructure to be dedicated has been inspected by the city engineer and operations director, who have determined that they meet the city standards for acceptance. In addition, the city attorney has reviewed and approved the title and deed and all affidavits and release of liens.
Mr. Mayor, Council, can I make a motion to approve the Lake Ridge Pod H Maps 3 and 4 formal acceptance of streets and associated infrastructure?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Next item is 7E. I will now call Michelle Nance, please, if you would.
Good evening again, and thank you. I'd like to report the Planning Commission's vote on the two items that were before you tonight. The Planning Commission has voted to recommend the conditional use permit at 16156 Tanatee Circle, that the recommendation is for it to be denied. That's on item 1B that we heard today. And on item 1C, the TKK Planning Commission voted to recommend approval of the amendment on the zoning code ordinance related to accessory dwelling units. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Michelle. Anyone have any questions?
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, Planning Commission.
I would like to take the opportunity to thank the Planning Commission for your time and efforts in both of these situations. I know it has been a long, arduous task, and we appreciate all the time and effort you guys have put into it. Thank you very much. So with that, next item on agenda 7F, consideration of a conditional use permit for a bed and breakfast for 16156 Tanatee. The applicant is requesting a conditional use permit to utilize the lower level of their single-family home as a bed and breakfast, as was discussed during the public hearing. The Planning Commission reviewed the application on August 1st and approved a recommendation for denial to the City Council. With that, may I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I'd like to make a motion to approve a conditional use permit for a bed and breakfast for 16156 Tanatee.
Do I have a second?
I'm asking for approval, so.
Do I have a second to approve? In that hearing, no second to approve, the motion is denied.
No, his motion dies
So
for
now
lack of
somebody has to make a
second.
motion to deny.
So somebody
We gotta
else
make
can make
another
a different
motion.
motion.
Yep. In that, do I have a motion to deny?
Mr. Mayor and Council, I'd like to make a motion to deny the conditional use permit for the bed and breakfast for 16156 Tanatee Circle, based on the recommendation from Planning Commission.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Nay.
Let the record show that Councilman Richard was a nay. All others were approved. Okay. Next item is 7G. Introduction and first read of an amendment to the zoning code ordinance 77 to add article.
Can we have some discussion? Excuse me, can we have some discussion about the square footage, Gus? You had some questions about it. I just want to make sure we're all clear before we vote.
To you,
Motion's going to do, that's, can we openly discuss it, is that fine?
Is that appropriate?
You shouldn't discuss it until you've got a motion and a second on the floor.
Thank you.
And then you
Okay.
can, and then if the mayor wants to open it up to discussion, that would be the time that you do it, is after the
Okay,
second.
thank you.
As I was about to say, Article 10, Section 19-170, accessory dwelling units, and amend other sections as applicable. Planning Commission began working in 2021 on a potential amendment to the zoning code to allow accessory dwelling units to be permitted in single-family residential districts. ADUs are independent housing units within single-family homes or on their lots. The primary intent of the ordinance is to provide a means for adult children to give care and support to a parent, or for parents to provide support to their adult children in an independent living arrangement. After approximately 6 months of research and due diligence, the commission is proposing this amendment for consideration by council.
Mr. Mayor and members of council, I would like to make a motion to approve the introduction and first reading of an amendment to the zoning code ordinance 77 to add Article 10, Section 19 to 170, accessory dwelling units, and amend other sections as applicable, with the change that for a detached accessory dwelling unit, the 1,000 square foot standard remain, but there be no square footage restriction as long as it meets applicable building codes in the primary residence. That's pretty good. I just did it on my own just then.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Well done, Mr. Councilman. You've done this before.
No, I listened to the expert, Susan Britt, and I listened and I learned and I understood this time.
Okay. With that, we are on to item 7H. Motion to award the bid award for C funds to Blythe Brothers Asphalt in an amount not to exceed $142,500 and authorize the city manager to issue the notice to proceed. Each year, the city is awarded C funds by the county in order to repave city streets. C funds are generated by gas taxes and distributed back to each county by the state. The city ranks its streets annually using standards developed by the American Asphalt Institute to determine which streets to apply for the funding. This year, the east side of Woodhome Court off of Heron Harbor and Malachi Drive from the entrance to the clubhouse to TK Drive will be resurfaced. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor and council, I'd like to make a motion to award the bid award for C funds to Blythe Brothers Asphalt in an amount not to exceed $142,500 and authorize the city manager to issue the notice to proceed.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Let the record show it's unanimous.
Yeah, give it
It's
to
almost
Tom.
8:30,
It's
Ryan.
Tom's first one.
Okay. Our next item on the agenda is 7I. During the budget process, council approved the stormwater budget to include stormwater projects. Staff put the project out for bid in accordance with the purchasing ordinance, and Eddie Smith and Sons, located in Rock Hill, was the lowest qualified and responsive bidder. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, and council, I'd like to make a motion to award the bid for Lanai Lane Stormwater Project to Eddie Smith and Sons in an amount not to exceed $65,000 and authorize the city manager to issue the notice to proceed.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
With a motion and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Took forever to get down to that thing.
Telling me.
Like page 228.
Moving on to item 7J. All of our patrol vehicles have mobile computers in them that allow our officers to a variety of tasks while remaining visible to the public. Those computers are reaching the end of their useful life and need to be replaced. Staff is proposing to use additional revenues received this year that are in excess of what was budgeted in order to purchase these computers in the current fiscal year. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor and members of council, I'd like to make a motion to approve replacing 20 in-car tablets with the TKK Police Department in an amount not to exceed $98,000 using excess revenues from the current fiscal year.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Very easy vote.
You can't use like Google Chromebooks? $120 a piece? No?
Don't they all have cell phones?
No? Yeah.
What's wrong with your BlackBerry?
Item number 8 is our city manager report. Mr. Funderburk, if you please would, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Fall sports registration wrapped up on August 6th, and we have 2,089 children playing sports this fall. That's almost exactly what we had this past spring, and the reason I bring that up is because generally our fall numbers are less than our spring. I think this past spring we had 2,082 or 2,084, somewhere in there. Based on last fall, that's a 14% increase. We had 1,834 kids last fall. Great note is, I think we only ended up with about 40 kids that ended up on the waiting list. And that was due to just, we were either full based on time slots they were signing up for, or they signed up late. So that's fantastic. While I'm on that, great job to our recreation staff, specifically Kira and Jimmy. They spent a lot of hours last week and this weekend holding skill evaluations and getting the kids assigned to teams. And having done that before, that is no small task. And they really put in a lot of hours this weekend to make that work, and last week to make that work. Thank you again to council, department heads, and also our budget analyst, Dana Overlay, for their work on the budgets. A lot of time and effort went into the process for sure, and really excited over the budget that council adopted this evening. Our next concert is at Rundy Park. We'll be on August 27th. It's an 80s band, cover band called Pluto for Planet. So should hopefully be a great time out there at the ball fields, and looking forward to seeing everybody out at that. Catawba Park is still moving along. We're getting to the tail end of it now. As our superintendent out there likes to say, all that's left now is just finishing it. So. Of course, he's been saying that since, I think, last July. So, but they are on the tail end of things now. We have run into a slight delay with the synthetic turf infields. That's not on our contractor. It's on the sub that is doing that. We found out a couple weeks ago they're running behind and wouldn't begin the install on those infields until August 22nd. It's about a 2-week turnaround time is what they've told us. The response that went back to them was bring more people. To hurry that up, because there still will be additional work that will have to be done once they complete that. So we're probably going to end up shifting off of that September 6th date. We're anticipating sometime around the week of September 12th as it stands right now, but hope to get a better time frame either at our progress meeting this week or next. We meet every week with our contractor and engineers there. So as we get another week or so into this is when we'll try to start nailing down a ribbon cutting date. And we'll be sure to make sure that works with council schedules and get all the appropriate folks invited to that. So we're excited it's coming, but we will be starting our fall sports at our normal facilities and then transitioning over to Catawba Park once we're able to get that rocking and rolling. So we're excited. Feedback around the fields, our folks, our participants are excited. Can't wait to see that. And I do have somewhat of an update regarding the REC funding from the county. Apparently, a motion to continue doing that funding did pass after lots of conversations, and apparently there were some amendments, and so we're trying to sort that out tomorrow as to what those amendments are. But we will continue getting that funding at least through 2024, it appears now. So we'll try to sort through that with the county over the coming days and weeks, I'm sure. And Mr. Mayor, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Funderburk. We will move on to item 9, which is council comments, and we'll kick it off with you,
Usually,
Mr. Richard, please.
same old. Thanks, again, fire, police, staff, everything you guys do, we really do appreciate it. No matter what the vote was, and Charlie, you correct me if I'm wrong, on 7A, as far as for adopting the compensation classification study, the 8% that we discussed is still in effect as it is a part of the budget. And staff could rest assured that what we discussed in that workshop is still a part.
At council's direction, we did include those numbers in the budget that received first read tonight. That is correct.
Okay. All right, perfect. Just wanted to make sure everybody was fully aware of that, regardless of that nay vote on 7A. And the only other thing I have is, I just find it funny that we could approve the accessory dwelling side of it, but not, and I know you guys are very involved in the planning commission side and the discussions with the bed and breakfast side of things, but it's been that way for 10, 12 years, and I'm a disruptor type. Like, things have to change eventually, and I think it's a disservice to this young man who has a setup where he's able to, judge the type of people that are coming in the space that they're coming into, and his hands are tied, even though he went through the process that he was told to and can't change the things, the two check boxes that he was able to miss just because of where his house sits. I don't know. I just think it's a disservice to you. I think it's time that we as a council look at that with a broader brush. And I know, the planning commission spent a lot of time on that nuisance ordinance and everything else that came along with the Airbnb and VRBO side of things, but times change. And how many homes in this city have basements that nobody live in, and we're just approving to put stoves and toilets in them? Like, we could do all that now. Add 1,000 square foot outside your house on the lake, but you're not allowed to be compensated for that additional benefit. Just my 2 cents there. I know not everybody agrees with that, but I think as a council and as a city, as we move forward, so does our thinking. And because of an ordinance that was written 12 years ago, I don't feel that's something that necessarily represents who we are now. And that's all I have.
Mayor, if I can, just on that subject, and y'all may see stuff coming from Mask as well. A lot of cities are wrestling with this around the state. The Municipal Association has even worked up somewhat of a model ordinance, if you will. It's not anything that we have taken up or discussed with staff or planning, but one thing maybe for council to have discussions at a future date is, do we want to open up that section and just regulate it so that it's not a free-for-all kind of thing, which is what a lot of those cities are going to. I know Seabrook Island just adopted one and is going quite well for them. So,
well, an average home price of $533,000 was the report you sent today. At a 5% interest rate, people need that help. In my opinion, that's all.
And I'm not lobbying either way on Airbnbs or short-term rentals, that kind of thing. But it is a large topic being discussed in municipalities around the state very heavily as to what to do. So just throwing that out there for your information. If that's something that y'all want Planning Commission digging into, then obviously Susan can take that back to planning for their future meetings or whatever you want to do. So again, it's just an FYI so y'all are aware of what is going on around the state.
Councilman Michunas.
Well, so I too would like to, as we always do, thank the chief and the chief. We appreciate everything you guys do. Easy vote to approve some things for you, Chief Crosby. Planning Commission, thank you very much for your hard work and what you did. I'm gonna throw one comment out there, not regarding one way or the other. I will say the accessory dwelling unit all started because someone wanted to put a stove in their basement. I mean, that was it. And I realized that PC had to go down that rabbit hole and live down there for about 8 months to try and figure out how to get back out of it without affecting the other ordinances that we have. But I mean, that's where it came from. You know, my basement's bigger than 1,000 square feet of heated square feet, and that's what it said. If it's conditioned square footage, then that counts. And I feel like if I wanted to put a stove down there, I ought to be able to put a stove down there. I can walk out the back door and cook all I want. I got 7 or 8 different cooking devices out there, all legally permitted, Chief, by the way, with fire extinguishers inside and out. Just thought I'd tell you that. But my stuff doesn't burn, as you'll find out during the beer, barbecue, and bourbon fest when I trounce you in the judging. Gauntlet has been thrown down. So anyway, I end my comments there.
Councilman Shirley.
Please come to the barbecue throwdown. This is going to be fun. Thank you, first responders, for the job that you guys do. Gosh, I see, it feels almost weekly that some event happens in TGK or close outside of TGK that our first responders are called to action, and they handle that with utmost professionalism and care for the folks that they're taking care of, and we appreciate what you do every single day. Thank you. Thanks for your sacrifices and the sacrifices of your team. I'm not a person to hold many secrets, and I'm probably, to a fault, pretty open about some things, and I wanted to share a couple things with you. I really respect your opinion, Councilman Ryan, regarding the Airbnb, and with respect to my neighbor, Kyle's down the street from me, 2 doors away from me. It's uncomfortable to decline your request tonight, and I want to tell you that personally. And I also want you to know that it's the denial of your request for me was based on several requests that I got from other residents in the city, that some live on the street and some don't live on the street, that didn't want that. That said, I would encourage you to take advantage of what was approved tonight, that now accessory dwelling units can be permitted in homes, and you may be able to take advantage of that on a rental that might last more than 90 days as a secondary income for you and your family. The feedback that I got on the bed and breakfast was that folks wanted to know who was on their street, who was living there, who was visiting their street. They know you and they know me and they know Jeff, but they don't know the folks that were coming to your home. So very respectful of your situation and what you're trying to accomplish there. I want to try and help you do it one way or the other. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to happen on a weekend basis, but thank you for coming and all the participation that you've had with Planning Commission and with Council. Folks talk about property rights, what they want to do with their property, what they're not allowed to do or allowed to do with their property. I think you should do what you want. I mean, you want to paint your house zebra stripes, you probably should do that, as long as it doesn't piss your neighbors off too bad, I guess. But that's where it comes in. When we affect other people, that's where some of those decisions have to be made. That's about all I have for that. Thank you, Council, for your dedication, and thank you, City staff, and for all the volunteers that give their time to serve our city. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Heisel, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I hope all the kids had a great summer and a good first day of school. I know my daughter was out and there was a lot some bus problems. It was pretty interesting, but we got off to a good start. I want to thank of course, the fire and police, but also all the staff with the budget work. I know you put a ton of work into this. Did the first reading tonight. It meets all our needs. No property tax raises, which is great. Got to pay off some debt. Invest in our employees significantly this year, which was needed. I know there was a resolution tonight that I voted against. I just thought it was unnecessary because we already put the money in the budget. I didn't know why we needed a resolution. That's why I voted against it. So it didn't do anything to the budget.
It's actually, we can't use the study unless council officially adopts it. So that's why we brought it to you as a resolution tonight.
To use the study for what?
To use, so that we have a pay scale plan to use. As it stands right now, we still have to use the one from 2015 based on council's action tonight.
Okay. Well, we can talk about that because I didn't know what it was. I said resolution. So anyways, good to know. Mayor Steve Hammond Trail, I know he left. Congratulations and thank you for everything he did for the city. The parade winners, congratulations and thank you so much to the sponsors. Thanks to the Planning Commission. I also struggled with the bed and breakfast decision. I'm a big personal property rights, and I think it would be wise as Ryan said and as Charlie said, maybe something down the road to look at, potentially regulating these facilities and potentially allowing them. And with that, I'll end. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Heislip. Mine's going to be short, folks. I appreciate all of our volunteers, what you do for us on the Planning Commission. Thank you to the fire and police. Council, thank you for your candor. I appreciate all the city staff getting the budgets together and everything. I know it's been a long, arduous task, and look forward to a bright future in TEK. Thanks a lot to our city staff. You guys are the backbone of TEK, which is why we want to get you guys apples to apples with everybody else and get those raises and the money to the folks that make TEK. We can sit here all day behind the dais and say that, yeah, we make TEK, but that is not the truth. It is our city staff and our volunteers and the people in TEK that make TEK, and I appreciate every single one of you. To the pickleball, I cannot wait to work with you folks. Let's dream as big as we can dream and aim for the stars so at least we land on the moon. So I just appreciate everybody's time this evening and appreciate everybody's hard work. Appreciate it, and especially appreciate the teachers. That is a job that I really would not want to have. But I appreciate everybody's dedication being a teacher. I have got a first-year teacher that I get to hear from every day, and she is doing a fantastic job down in Moncks Corner, South Carolina. So I really appreciate the teachers, as I am the father of one now. So appreciate everybody. Have a safe and happy rest of your week, and looking forward to a great weekend with some lower temperatures. Thank you, everyone. That brings us to item number 10.
Motion adjourn?
I need a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Got a first and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All in favor say aye. We're done.